I've talked to some of Tony's contemporaries he was at art school with. They thought he was going to be the next really big thing.
It's always been a mystery to me as to why he's not more up in the hierarchy of sort of like great artists.
He's been painted out of this period when he was actually making a really vital contribution. You know, why is it that somebody like him is invisible?
Has it been a while since you painted?
It must have been a few days. I've started on a couple, which I'm going to complete when you buggers piss off.
I think what interested me, in a way, was how he could be airbrushed out of the story of St Ives when he was there during the absolutely key period and where he was, you know, making a strong contribution at the time.
This is some earlier sculptural work.
In the 1940s and 1950s, St Ives was unusual because it became, you know, really one of the centres for advanced painting and sculpture in the Western world.
I think it was 1958 that we moved to St Ives. I went to St Ives because there were a number of painters living in that area that I admired, and I think I would receive some advice and encouragement from those people.
When he first moved to Cornwall, well, in fact, I went down to Cornwall first to suss out the scene. I hitchhiked down to Cornwall and came back and said, yeah, you're gonna like it there. And met Peter Lanyon and people while I was down there.
Peter Lanyon was a close neighbour in Carbis Bay, and he very kindly came to visit me and said, I've heard there's another painter just living up the road, come and have a drink. He was a very friendly, very helpful person and an absolute brilliant painter who influenced me profoundly.
I first noticed Anthony Shields' paintings in a small St Ives gallery some 2 summers ago. They owed much to other painters working in Cornwall, Peter Lanyon in particular. But this isn't surprising or discreditable in a young artist's work. In any case, they were done by someone with a natural ability to make interesting pictorial compositions and a real feeling for paint and colour. Anthony Shields is certainly a young painter to watch.
Fucker.
I think one of the things that attracted people to St Ives was a sort of desire for a kind of rootedness, and naturally also this sort of ancient landscape.
The painters that went there were mainly, as I call them, landlubbers. You know, they were mainly people from London or Middle Europe. Tony comes to St Ives with a very strong interest in the sea and a really deep understanding and feeling for the sea. And St Ives is about the sea. It isn't about, you know, the hills and the safe ports and all the rest of it. It's about the guts of the sea. Very few of the other artists in that period developed their understanding of the sea in this kind of very powerful way. One of the recurring themes is the sea head.
This first piece is a sea head. This second piece is a sea head. This third piece is not.
It's the pouring rain that comes out of a giant cumulonimbus cloud, best seen over the sea.
And this is a sea head, and that is a kind of sea head. This is not. This is something else.
There are painterly reasons for the sea head. It is a very direct, gestural and basic image. It has strong cubist roots in circles and straight lines. Once I put it down on canvas, it spoke back to me. You recognize the fellow. like meeting a friend that was bubbling away all along. The sea head, yes, that looks like a painting by me and not like anyone else. I'm pleased he made that statement about the sea head, because most gallery owners and people looking at his pictures just don't know what on earth it is and why he's done it and how it relates to the rest of the art on the planet. So I think it's really good that he's spelt it out. And in calling it the sea head, he gives it all sorts of figurative meanings as well. One of the things about St Ives was this combination of abstraction and the figure.
That's a sea head. I've had enough of this.
He actually ran a gallery for a while in St Ives, and he said he became really fed up with painterly abstraction, the sort of comfortable, rather nice abstract work that was typifying St Ives in the very early 60s, and he decided to sort of rebel against that and burst out into large female nudes in 1963.
The thing with Tony Shiels is that, you know, he started out as a painter in a sort of, you know, 50s, early 60s mode. He moved from a sort of abstract landscape style a la Lanyon to something more figurative.
He went from these sort of expressionist abstract paintings to highly energetic women rushing across the canvas. That also happened to other painters in St Ives, but Tony was really the true young 60s initiator of that.
Look at that lovely sculpture I've done out of that. That's with big tits.
He had a show in London called Gunfighters and Athletic Nudes, a show where a lot of the paintings were inspired by American cowboys and guns. You know, you can't imagine anything more different to St Ives.
The month of June provides 4 exhibitions by promising young painters. In Anthony Shiels, one finds an artist of naive exuberance and good humour. Like several other new figurative painters, he has chosen to paint the themes which made a strong visual impression on him as a child.
I think he'd always been interested in cowboys since, you know, living in Blackpool and watching cowboy movies like everybody did. Although, of course, he did get arrested in St Ives for being a cowboy with guns, and he was run out of town.
Okay. Well, I'm coming outside.
I remember him being arrested and sent to Bodmin mental home for, I think, threatening a policeman.
Tony was sectioned and went into St. Lawrence's Asylum. He got carried away with the Western theme. He became a gunfighter and did it publicly when he'd had a drink or two.
Those were the days, the tent show summers, the fairs, Doc Shiels and Company with Professor Calvini, Punch and Judy, Tom Fool's Theatre of Tomfoolery, a marvellous madness about it all.
Like a lot of artists, his life itself was an artwork, so he moved into performance and manipulation of people's belief through magic and all sorts of things like that. But that has a sort of surrealist tradition behind it, and he sees himself as a surrealist. Also because it was easier to support a family through theatrical shows and Punch and Judy and all that sort of stuff.
He used to go to different sort of festivals and shows and things and sort of perform as a magician and presumably as a musician as well.
I was the Wizard of the Western World. I was just doing shows. I thought, right, you people, I am the Wizard of the Western World. Therefore, I will raise up these monsters of the deep.
I think he was out to, you know, try and change how people view things. that's how he found he could do it and get real publicity for it. Like he could communicate to many millions of people or whatever, if only, albeit for a short period of time.
How do you go about invoking sea monsters, Doc? What's the trick?
Well, I simply make myself as attractive as I possibly can to the beasties, and it's a kind of abstract invitation that's thrown out to them.
They want stories all the time, don't they? And they sometimes say, hey, what are you doing this week, Doc? Oh, I'm trying to paint pictures. But that wouldn't be interesting to them, would it?
Any luck, Doc?
Yes. Yes, definite presence. Right up there, we, all three of us on this particular boat, saw a large black hunk break the surface just for a second or two.
They want me to, ooh. Go on the ooh, 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 the Helford River or something like that. I didn't exploit them.
Now, you've got a couple of props, as it were, here to help you do that, and one of them looks to me like an ordinary pint of Guinness, but it's more than that to you, isn't it?
There's no such thing as an ordinary pint of Guinness. It is extraordinary, extra stout. And I use the pint as a fortune teller would use a crystal ball.
They eventually decided what regard me as some kind of bad person. They didn't approve of the games that my family and myself were playing.
Now, in the past, you've used naked witches swimming in Falmouth Bay to try and lure this creature to the surface. Are they on the agenda today?
I don't think the weather is exactly perfect for that sort of thing.
The tabloids and beyond said, oh, shock horror. This family is raising monsters and those teenage girls are taking their clothes off in order to raise those monsters. The popular press didn't quite get we were doing shows. We were promoting those shows. But the media always gets it wrong and always wants something. It's a bit dirty. And so they said, ooh, you dirty people, what a load of awful people you are. Because we were doing a show, in which there was a nude scene. The nude scene was Ewan, one of my sons, in a suit made of pink toweling material. Some members of the audience found that shocking. Some members of audiences found it shocking that my daughters had their clothes on during some of these plays. Oh, his daughter, Kate, appears topless.
Do you think if it's done in a theatrical way or an artistic way, then...
Of course it was theatrical. How do you separate theatrical from artistic? Ben, how do you separate theatrical from artistic, Ben? The kids weren't bothered about anything. Why would they be? No harm done to any of them. Why do you think my wife and daughter still talk to me?
No, he was turned into a bad man years ago.
I don't think it's been easy, at times, so. But maybe it's tough love. maybe it makes you grow strong, so because the kids are all amazingly sort of creative as well.
I'm the grandest
So I'm supposed to be watching my son on this. We're just a mess. Like most families are a bit of a mess, aren't they? We're kind of a mess. My kids were brought up in the showbiz way, kind of. I was doing shows when I was a kid. Yeah, maybe I bullied them a bit into it. I don't regret it, though. Because they turned out to be okay. And, they turned out to be okay, I think. I'm very, very proud of them. I'm deeply proud of my kids doing whatever they've done. They don't know that because I rarely tell them. They're miserable as shit. But I really am.
I think Tony's been very true to the artist's life. He's lived this sort of wild life, and that has inspired his paintings. He hasn't compromised, and I think there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's to be commended.
Art now is a very kind of diverse practice, and you expect artists to do all sorts of different things. And actually, if he sort of wrapped that up, whether it's the Punch and Judy stuff or the pursuit of this kind of Celtic myth of the great sea monster, in a way you can see it as much more part of a sort of artistic whole than just one career as an artist and then these other things that distracted him from it at times.
What do you think the cave painters were doing at Altamira or Lascaux? They were making marks concerned with their experience, day-to-day experience. I was here, boom, 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 boom. I was here. And then I'll die, like the rest of us will. Like all of us will. Just making a few marks. crop them.